Okay, so this is the 8th video on this build, 40-foot landing craft. So when I left off, I had all the bulkheads in and the I-beams down on the bottom of the boat, and I just needed to weld them in. This front area, I held off on this area as far as doing stiffeners on it and, for a little bit later date. I just wanted to get back to welding in these I-beams. So I welded these I-beams complete, no stitch welding. Turned out to be like 500 feet of single pass weld for these I-beams. And it took me about 4 days. After I completely welded the I-beams in and the center line going down the center of the boat, and I put on my triangle shaped gussets on the I-beams, and that ties the I-beams to the gussets. Ties the I-beams to these bulkheads, and it ties the I-beams, to the transom back there, because when these I-beams were laid down, there was, I wasn't worried about it completely touching the bulkhead. So there was a little bit of gap there, and these triangular shaped gussets will tie that in. It's just how I did it. There's lots of ways to do it, obviously, but that's how I did it. So a lot of cutting and fitting for these triangular shaped gussets, but I think they look really cool, and they'll tie everything in longitudinally and make it really, really strong. 12-foot beam, 4-foot sides. So I'll come back tomorrow, the next day, take a day or two probably to weld these in. Get these all completely welded in, these triangular shaped gussets, and after that I'll probably come back, and I want to weld where the sidewall meets the bottom of the boat. I still haven't welded that complete yet. And then up vertically on the gussets, or on the bulkhead, sorry. The bulkheads are welded complete, across the bottom, both sides. And the center line of the boat is welded complete on the inside here, obviously. Every time it rains, it's holding water, so I gotta vacuum it out. That's half the work, is just cleaning up. It don't stay this clean by any means. I've vacuumed it, 50 times, swept it and vacuumed it. I'm just trying to keep it clean. But yeah, I really like the way these little triangular shaped gussets worked out. I knew it was going to be a lot of work to cut and fit them, but I think in the end, it's pretty rewarding, because I like the way it looks. It ties those I-beams into that transom there, and it's just pretty beefy. Definitely overkill. A lot of guys are probably laughing, going, that guy's a fool, whatever, They wouldn't do it, but it's just believe in doing it right the first time, and overkill is good. So if it's overkill, well, whatever it is, it makes me happy, and happy with the way the boat came out. And there's a lot of extra work, welding these I-beams all the way, and these gussets, and all this stuff, and but in the end, it's the way I want to do it. So, there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of work involved. Boat's 12 feet wide, like I said. You could probably stand 7 people side by side going across the back deck here. Got to get this welded up in the next few days also, after I weld these triangular shaped gussets. So, like how it turned out, I've talked several times about how I like the fact that the I-beams, I took them all the way pretty much to the front of the boat, within about, 6 or 7 feet of the front of the boat. And there's 4 bulkheads in here, and now that these triangular shaped gussets are in here, once they're welded, it pretty much ties everything together, you know, down the length of the boat, and then we'll start putting stiffeners, you know, going across the boat. It's just going to be some flat bar standing on edge, just to box it in, honeycomb it, I don't know, every foot, maybe every 18 inches. Haven't really decided yet. This last section right here that I'm stepping into right now, this is going to be where the fuel tanks are going to be. There'll be 3 fuel tanks across here. They're 100-gallon fuel tanks. Actually, they're right back there. The yellow ones that are hanging, they're suspended up in the air. They each hold about 95 gallons. And this spot worked out really nice for them. So there'll be all 3 fuel tanks in this section, which, you know, this section is completely sealed off from the other sections of the boat because these bulkheads are welded full length. So completely isolates this fuel space. So 300 gallons of fuel. That'll be pretty nice. This next section is where I'm going to put a fish hold right here in this area right here, and it'll be a pretty decent sized box for a fish hold. So let me step down off of here. There's the bottom of the boat. And you haven't seen any of the other videos, you can go back, they're all numbered. This is the 8th one, they're numbered 1 through 8. You can kind of, you know, see how the boat developed from there. I go back and look at them all the time. It's funny how I try not to repeat myself today, because that's something I've noticed in my videos. You say the same thing about 4 or 5 times, but got those I-beams in 1-foot sections to get them to roll up that edge over there, the contour of the boat. I like that. That turned out pretty cool. So a couple more days of welding, I'll have all these gussets done. Have the sides welded on the inside of the boat anyway. And then I can get down to you know, doing the other stringers that go, you know, horizontally across the boat about every 16 inches or something like that. I don't know. Haven't really decided yet. We'll see. Get a view from the back of the boat here. I said in another video, I said that, you know, there'll be a motor shelf on the back of the boat, twin 250s on it. I don't have those motors yet, but in the future we'll be buying those, hopefully. Used, I can't afford new ones. New ones are just outrageous. So I'll buy used. And there it is, 40-foot landing craft. I've worked on this boat maybe 3 weeks. Built it, you know, working on it completely by myself. So I think we've done a good job, you know, so far. Really happy with the way it is. It's just, you know, just take things in little baby steps. Like when I welded those I-beams, you know, it's a daunting task to actually add up, you know, the length of it. It turned out to be 500 foot of single pass weld. I wished I hadn't added that up after I did that, but it only took me about 4 days Took a full roll of wire, 16-pound spool of wire, and pretty much 1 tank of gas, 80 cubic. So there it is. Thanks for watching.